The world isn't just changing, it's being rebuilt from the ground up. The old rules of economics, medicine, and even the very nature of work are collapsing right now before a wave of interconnected technologies that wait for no one. Let's dive straight into the core of this transformation and see how these technologies will intertwine to redefine every single detail of our lives. 1. Artificial general intelligence. We're not talking about a chatbot answering your questions, but a system that thinks, learns, and solves entirely new problems without being pre-programmed to do so. Major companies are now racing to build world models that learn not just from text, but by directly observing natural phenomena, production processes, and human behaviors, just as a child observes the world around them before fully understanding it. The difference is that this system never sleeps, never tires, and can process a volume of knowledge that would be impossible for any human scientist to absorb in an entire lifetime. When this system reaches maturity, it won't just change a single job, it will redefine the very concept of work, and perhaps force us to rethink the meaning of creativity and human intelligence itself. 2. Quantum computing. A regular computer solves problems step by step, but a quantum computer solves them using millions of possibilities simultaneously, harnessing bizarre physical properties like quantum superposition and entanglement. This leap could break the encryption systems protecting your bank accounts and private messages today in a matter of minutes, which is exactly why governments are rushing right now to develop quantum-resistant encryption before it's too late. On the flip side, this technology will open the door to discovering new drugs and materials by simulating the behavior of atoms themselves, a calculation that would have been impossible for the most powerful traditional supercomputers, even if they ran for thousands of years. Whoever masters quantum computing first holds the ultimate trump card in almost everything, from medicine and finance to national security. 3. Physical AI and robotics. This is where artificial intelligence steps out of the screen and into a physical body. Major companies are currently developing humanoid robots that learn purely through visual observation, much like a child learns by imitation without any complex manual programming for every movement. This means factories operating non-stop around the clock, homes with a physical assistant that cooks, cleans, and organizes, and warehouses managed entirely with almost zero human intervention. Even in hospitals, robots have begun assisting surgeons in highly delicate operations with hands steadier than any humans, significantly reducing medical error rates. The sector that was once considered far from practical reality has now become the fastest-growing field in tech investments. 4. Gene editing and the engineering of life. DNA modification technologies have reached a point where they can correct genetic diseases before a child is even born, or even edit them directly in the cells of an afflicted adult. The precision is like finding a single typo in a massive book and correcting just that one letter. Cancerous tumors, chronic diseases like diabetes and sickle cell anemia, and even some forms of premature aging have become actual targets for this technology, rather than just theoretical research in isolated labs. Certain gene therapies are already being officially approved in several countries, having been nothing more than ideas in scientific papers just a short time ago. We are entering an era where we won't just treat symptoms, we will rewrite the biological code itself, raising massive ethical questions about the limits of this modification. 5. AI-driven personalized medicine. Supercomputing is now accelerating the decoding of proteins and the engineering of drugs at an unprecedented rate, simulating millions of chemical reactions in seconds rather than spending years on trial and error inside a lab. This shrinks the drug development timeline from years to mere months. Imagine a medicine manufactured specifically for your unique genetic makeup, not just for your disease, where the dosage and ingredients are selected based on how your specific body reacts, not on an average hypothetical human. Even routine checkups will transform into comprehensive analyses predicting diseases years before any symptom appears. This marks the end of the one-size-fits-all dose and the dawn of an era where every human is treated according to their unique biological footprint, exactly like a fingerprint. Brain-computer interfaces, BCI. Microchips implanted in the brain can read neural signals and translate your thoughts directly into digital commands without you having to move a single finger. This technology has already started helping paralyzed patients type and control computer mice or prosthetic limbs simply by thinking about the movement. Some trials have even enabled patients who lost the ability to speak to talk again by translating their brain activity into words. But the horizon is far broader than just the therapeutic side. Wordless communication between two people, a digital backup memory stored outside the brain, and perhaps one day, a direct connection between the human mind and artificial intelligence itself, with no intermediary. 7. Super clean energy and nuclear fusion. Energy demand is exploding due to the massive growth of AI models and data centers consuming enormous amounts of electricity. So much so that some tech giants have started seeking their own private energy sources instead of relying on the public grid. The solution currently racing against time is nuclear fusion. It's the exact same reaction that powers the sun, promising virtually limitless clean energy with no dangerous radioactive waste and zero risk of meltdown like in traditional reactors. Several startups and government labs are currently rushing to prove that this reaction can be controlled commercially and affordably. If the first commercial fusion plant succeeds this decade, it means the end of the energy crisis as we know it, and possibly the total end of the fossil fuel race. 8. Solid-state batteries and energy storage. One of the biggest hurdles facing the widespread adoption of electric vehicles and renewable energy isn't generating power, but storing it efficiently. Mu solid-state batteries replace the hazardous liquid chemicals inside traditional batteries with a solid material, making them charge much faster, last far longer, and significantly safer since they are much less prone to catching fire. This small leap in the lab will translate to electric cars fully charging in just a few minutes instead of hours, smartphones lasting for days on a single charge, and home electrical grids running flawlessly on solar energy stored all night without a single interruption. 9. Hyperautomation. We're not talking about automating a single task like setting up an email autoresponder, but the automation of an entire chain of operations by seamlessly integrating software robots with artificial intelligence and machine learning. An entire company could be run with the absolute minimum of human intervention, from the moment a customer's order is received, through accounting and inventory, all the way to product shipping and after-sales service. These systems don't just execute commands, they monitor their own performance and automatically correct their errors without a programmer stepping in. This shift will radically reshape the job market in just a few short years, forcing millions of employees to acquire entirely new skill sets to keep pace with this change. 10. Security by design and cybersecurity. With the surge of digital attacks and the evolution of AI in the hands of hackers themselves, security is no longer a layer added on top of a system later. It has become a foundational part of every system's architecture from the very first moment of its design, replacing the old method of trying to patch vulnerabilities after they're discovered. With the advent of quantum computing, all of our sensitive data, from bank accounts to state secrets, will require completely new encryption to withstand the massive power of these computers to break traditional ciphers in minutes rather than centuries. AI itself has become a double-edged sword, used to repel attacks, but also weaponized to launch them with more intelligence than ever before. Those who fail to adapt will be vulnerable to breaches unprecedented in scale and precision. 11. Space tech and reusable rockets. Governments and private companies are now racing to explore planets, build space stations that are smaller and cheaper than ever, and facilitate orbital access for civilian organizations and even regular tourists, all thanks to rockets that are reused instead of being discarded after every single launch. New satellites monitor the climate moment by moment, improve communications in the most remote areas, and provide highly accurate data for farmers, airlines, and governments to make faster, more precise decisions. Even the idea of asteroid mining, extracting rare minerals from space, is no longer just sci-fi, but a serious research project for several companies. Space is no longer the exclusive monopoly of superpowers, it has become an open investment arena for virtually anyone. 12. Blockchain and the integrated IoT. Billions of smart devices, from health watches to traffic light sensors and water pipes, will communicate with each other over blockchain-based networks to ensure data security and transparency, completely eliminating the need for a controlling middleman. Imagine a smart electricity meter automatically negotiating with the neighborhood's solar grid to buy the cheapest available power at that exact second, or a self-driving car automatically paying a toll without a single human input. This fusion of IoT and blockchain will forge truly smart cities that manage themselves, making split-second decisions based on live data from every corner, from traffic flow to water consumption.